Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm Masahiro Chono.
And I am Shiro Koshinaka.
Welcome to episode 126, G1 Climax Final, 1994.
G1!
I mean, yeah, like this is a G1 that's a little different setup-wise than than a modern G1, but it is still the G1 Climax.
Pretty close to what it is.
It's less people, and then like the blocks and points are still very similar, but it's not as much of a. It happens in a much smaller amount of time as opposed to taking up the whole summer.
Well, there's less people too.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, the last few years it had been a tournament style.
Yeah.
Instead of just a round robin.
Yeah, round robin point situation.
So this is actually the fourth annual G1 Climax produced by New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was held from August 3rd to August 7th, 1994, all at Ryogoku Gogukikon in Tokyo, Japan, with an attendance of at least 11,000 people each night.
I mean, you know, wrestling, baby.
That's right.
Japan likes wrestling.
11,500.
A night in the same place.
That's awesome.
Pretty fucking cool, man.
But we're in Japan.
Yeah, we are.
So that means that Shane's probably brought us a tasty treat.
We did, or I should say I did. We're back in Japan, and as I've mentioned before, getting Japanese food in Oklahoma City on a Sunday can sometimes be difficult. And I made things a little extra difficult because I was traveling back from Nebraska this morning. So we went the easy route,
but
one I have not taken yet.
A good route,
right?
As well. I have not had one of these in a while, and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, I swung by the liquor store and looked around to see what Japanese beer options they had because
there's two.
Yeah.
Always two.
There's always two, and this one was difficult to find because the liquor store that I went to I wasn't familiar with, so didn't know what the hell they were going to have, where anything was, and finally, after about 10 minutes of walking around, I found the bottles of Asahi Super Dry sitting on the shelf. Nice and tasty, nice and crisp.
Japan's number one selling beer. I like a dry beer. This is similar to your typical lager. It's like your Budweiser or your Coors or
according to the bottle,
whatever.
It's
but
a 5.2. So
it's better than those. I do love a dry beer, and you don't see those many.
Dry and crisp with a quick, clean finish.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with all of that. The other Japanese beer, of course, being Sapporo. I'm sure there's plenty other options in Japan, but those are the two in the US of A that are readily available and regularly seen. I have drank much more Sapporo in my life than I have Asahi, but Sapporo, they have them in these big weird cans, and you go to the bar and be like, oh, this is the bar where I drink Sapporo.
Yep.
Because it's cheap and it's strong.
Yeah, this one I liked because I didn't have to pick between different sizes. I just grabbed a 6-pack of the bottles and chilled them, as opposed to the Sapporo where you have to decide if you want a big can, a small can, or if you're at a sushi restaurant, if you want a pint or a tall or...
Yeah. I would be curious to see if these are like the beers that people drink in Japan, because when I went to...
watch you go over there and they drink like PBR or something.
Yeah, or they have like their Japanese version of like a PBR or something, but like I went to Spain once and they drink Estrella, and it's like the beer that's everywhere.
They had another one, I guess, something Ichiban, but I'd never heard of that one, and I already knew I liked Asahi. I didn't want to buy a beer that possibly was going to taste gross, so I went with the old reliable, just like the G1 Climax here.
Yeah, you're gonna see some motherfucking wrestling.
Yeah,
that's right.
When the G1 happens, there's not going to be a disqualification regularly in a G1 match.
Yeah, and with Asahi, you know it's going to taste like a nice, cold, crisp, dry, delicious beer. So,
yes.
Hey, they go well together. I just wish I had one of these while I was watching these matches. So at least I have it while we're talking.
So while we're indulging in these delicious beers, a couple movies came out to theaters the same week. Clear and Present Danger and Airheads.
I ain't farting on no snare drum. One of my favorite jokes and line readings in a 90s comedy. Also, every time I watch that movie, which I love and is near and dear to my heart, I always forget that line happens like 3 minutes before the credits roll. Maybe less. But I fucking love Airheads so goddamn much.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Like Brendan Fraser's explanation for his band, the Lone Rangers, is power slop, which I think is the greatest fake genre of all time. And it's like, oh, well, they're just kind of a, like, you know, power rock. They're like not quite hair metal, but they're also not like thrash. It's like, oh, I guess power slop works. But the music I've been playing in the last year or so, I refer to as power slop as well. It doesn't quite sound like it, but I know it's sloppy and it is loud.
Well, you know, back in the day, thong was, you know, something you put on your foot. Now it's something you put on your ass. So maybe power slop in 1994 meant one thing, and now 2021 is going to mean something totally different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're more on the Quiet Riot as opposed to Poison. They're more Scorpions than they are Motley Crue. More Twisted Sister than Guns N' Roses. That's the sound of the Lone Rangers. How can you pluralize that?
As Joe Montaigne would say.
Yes, of course.
I remember seeing Airheads the first time because I knew that Adam Sandler was in it, and Adam Sandler was like one of my favorites.
Adam Sandler's like young and hot in this movie.
And
he looks really good.
It's like not an Adam Sandler movie at all. No, thankfully, because it still holds up.
Yeah, it holds up better than most Adam Sandler movies.
Brendan Fraser was trying to figure out what type of an actor he was going to be. If he was going to be a serious one like School Ties, or if he was going to be Encino Man. So he went for the stoner rocker comedy instead.
Also,
it may have been the first time I saw Steve Buscemi, and
Steve
absolutely loved him.
Steve Buscemi is fucking great in this movie, and he always like kind of dabbles in comedy, but like this is like a straight comedy.
Yeah,
and he's so good. As nobody's ever looked as much like a bass player as fucking Steve Buscemi, and that's coming from one bass player to another.
I haven't watched Airheads in forever. I haven't watched Clear and Present Danger in forever.
I have not seen Clear and Present Danger.
It's the first Harrison Ford as Jack Ryan film. The Tom Clancy novels.
Oh, I did not know that.
Hunt for Red October.
Hunt for Red October was the first one that came out of the Tom Clancy.
I didn't know that either of those were Tom Clancy.
Alec Baldwin played Jack Ryan in that one.
I didn't realize that Jack Ryan rolled that deep.
Oh, yeah.
I know Tom Clancy rolls
Jack
deep,
Ryan
but I didn't know those were... Yeah, I didn't know those were Tom Clancy.
There's been 4 people that have played Jack Ryan. Alec Baldwin, Harrison Ford, Ben Affleck, and now John Krasinski's
the Office
TV
guy.
show.
I totally forgot Ben Affleck had his...
Yeah, he played it in the one movie. They tried to reboot the series.
But that was around the original Bennifer time when everything came crashing down.
Yeah.
Geely and, Jersey Girl.
I know,
What's the best of the Tom Clancy movies?
Oh, Hunt for Red October is easy.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've seen parts of that one on television. Like, it was just a cable stable, but I don't think I ever sat down and watched it.
You need to watch Hunt for Red October.
So I'm trying to remember what came after Clear and Present Danger.
It was
that Patriot Games?
Yeah, Patriot Games. Which I think Patriot Games is probably the better film. But I do remember after seeing Clear and Present Danger that it made me want to read the Tom Clancy books. So I read both Hunt for Red October and Clear and Present Danger. I think I got like most of the way through Patriot Games, but the movie was much better than the book, which is not usual.
Yeah,
but at least in my opinion.
Yeah,
I mean,
is Tom Clancy still alive? I know he's written
I don't know.
1 million books.
Basically, at this point, they're just
games.
putting his name on Rainbow Six video games, and I don't know if he's written anything lately.
Died October 1st, 2013.
Okay. He's been dead for almost a decade.
That's probably why his name's more on video games now the family's still trying to make money.
Yeah, I'm sure that they would have been fine even if they weren't optioned. Even if they didn't make successful films out of them, they still probably would have been doing pretty good.
But yeah, both these films, excellent films. If you haven't seen them, you should definitely go and check them out.
Yeah. I can't speak for Clear and Present Danger, but I trust you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I speak very highly of Airheads, one of the more underrated 90s comedies.
Definitely.
I think.
mean, Harrison Ford in the 90s
Pretty
couldn't really go wrong.
Yeah. Anything. He had a pretty solid run post Star Wars, pre Air Force One.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, let's head off to Japan and talk some wrestling. So, as we were kind of talking about earlier, this year the G1 would return to a round-robin format with 2 blocks of 6. Participants in those blocks would include Masahiro Chono, Riki Choshu, Tatsumi Fujinami, Yoshika Fujiwara, Hiroshi Hase, Shinya Hashimoto, Takayuki Iizuka, Asama Kiddo, Shiro Koshinika, Keiji Mutoh, Power Warrior, and Yoshiki Yatsu.
The ones that are standing out is Osamu Kido and Yoshiaki Yatsu. I'm like, those aren't too familiar, but these other guys I'm super familiar with.
The other two, those 2 guys, were actually from other promotions.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember right offhand where they were from, but they did invite a couple guys to come in to fill out the...
Yeah, this combo of you saying Hiroshi Hase and Shinya Hashimoto, those 2 names right next to each other, is really my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I'm really, really loving just hearing those names back to back.
But the downside to the G1 Climax and most Japanese wrestling is that the TV station basically owns all the rights to any of that footage, and it's not really out there anywhere.
Rude.
Except for a couple of matches that we were able to find on New Japan World.
Yeah, these are the 2 G1 94 matches on New Japan World, which is truly a shame considering those 12 names that we just named off and only getting to see 2 different combinations of them.
Yeah.
Because, my God, how often do we shit on a Hiroshi Hase match? Hasn't happened
Never.
yet.
Like, have we?
Probably not going to happen, really, with any of these names. But
You got
Hase has been a fan favorite, I feel like, on this show.
Definitely.
My beefcake boy, old Keiji Mutoh.
Yes, Keiji Mutoh as well, of course.
Yeah.
I just have a super soft spot for Hase and Hashimoto. Hashimoto, beefy boy that only kicks.
Yep.
It's the kind of shit I'm into.
So the first match that we were able to find is Keiji Mutoh versus Riki Choshu in a Block A matchup on day 3.
Oh, this is day 3.
Yes.
I was not particularly aware of that.
So this match, there's actually both Japanese commentary and English commentary provided by Kevin Kelly.
Big ups to Kevin Kelly.
The World.
Going back and finding matches and giving some insight for English fans.
Yeah.
And see, I knew the voice sounded familiar. I just didn't realize that's who it was.
Kevin Kelly, the voice of New Japan.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people in all of wrestling. In or outside of the ring, I have nothing but positive things to say about Kevin Kelly.
Absolutely. So, as with most times when Kevin Kelly does these older matches, it's part play-by-play, part kind of him giving
history lesson, context,
about the match and everything. So he tells us that Keiji had actually lost his first couple matches in this climax.
Yeah, in this G1, you got nothing but heavy hitters. We all know Keiji Mutoh. In the U.S., most people know Keiji Mutoh before some of these other names.
Yeah.
He's
the Great Mutoh.
He's the Great Mutoh, so he's very, very memorable and already been on television.
Possibly
over here.
the most over Japanese wrestler of all time in America.
In America, yeah, possibly.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but
I'd say with your casual fan, I would definitely say so. Yeah.
Yeah, he is kind of a gateway drug for most people in the early '90s to get into Japanese
I mean,
wrestling.
maybe Liger.
Liger for sure as well.
Liger might be a little bit more well known because he does stay in WCW for a little bit longer.
Yeah, and wrestling, being on like
Nitro
cable and stuff. Yeah.
So it might be Liger.
Yeah, but
they're pretty close.
They're both equally responsible for turning people onto Japanese wrestling, probably.
Let's have them battle it out, and we'll let them decide the winner.
One of them somehow has yet to retire. Mm-hmm. One of them
could still go if he came back.
Yep. Yeah. One of them could still go if he came back. The other one is a champion.
No, he actually lost.
Oh, okay. Last I heard, Keiji Mutoh was a champion in Noah.
No, yeah.
But I guess I don't follow Noah that closely.
Dang.
Kevin Kelly also tells us that Choshu had won his first couple of matches. While over in the B block, it's been all Tatsumi Fujinami, as he was 3-0 at the time. We see the match get going with Mutoh immediately going to the floor. But once back in, the two lock up with no one gaining an advantage, until Riki hits a head scissors takedown, clamping it on tight until they roll into the ropes.
And Riki Choshu is 43 here.
Damn.
So he is the elder statesman for sure. 43. He also doesn't necessarily not look 43.
He definitely looks older, but he doesn't look like he's out of place.
No, he doesn't look out of place, but he's just got kind of like dad bod for sure.
So the two men do some mat work, with Keiji working the arm and neck until Choshu hits a knee to the gut and a vertical suplex for a 2 count. Riki's back to a head scissors to work the neck of Mutoh, only for Keiji to counter it into an Indian deathlock when they roll into the ropes again. Keiji gets aggressive with kicks, but Riki just starts firing back as well, only for Mutoh to stay in control with some headbutts. Choshu with multiple back suplexes. But on the third try, Keiji counters and lands on top, followed by a springboard back elbow and several flash elbow drops.
The flash elbow, the 3 times in a row, I was like, all right, buddy, cool.
Right.
And also, of like the handspring back elbow is an immediate pop. Yeah. It's like, oh, this is like the signature move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's not a finisher. Like that's the one, outside of the flash elbow, of course.
Mutoh hits a backbreaker and goes up top for the moonsault, only for Riki to move out of the way, but Keiji is right back on the attack with forearms.
He lands on his feet.
That sends Choshu out to the floor. Mutoh follows out to run Riki into a guardrail before hitting another springboard back elbow. They head out into the crowd, where Keiji hits a bulldog on the concrete floor, before heading into the tunnel and running the long distance back. But Choshu's up and hits a clothesline.
It's so good. He's like, all right, I'm gonna make some space. I'm gonna pop the crowd, do the big running clothesline. We've seen it before.
Yep.
At the Tokyo Dome with the long...
Absolutely. So, like,
ramp.
People know what's going on, but Choshu
Yeah.
pops up, like, right at the right time and really fucking lays it in. It's nice.
Mutoh makes it back to the apron, only for Riki to clothesline him back to the floor, before then going for a vertical suplex. But Keiji floats over and starts to run the ropes when Choshu hits another clothesline.
He's got to eat the lariat.
Riki applies the Scorpion Deathlock, and Mutoh is struggling, but he does make the ropes to break the hold. Choshu goes to lock it in once more, but Keiji cradles him up for the near fall. And then Riki says, I don't think so, and it's a running lariat. And he goes to the deathlock again. But this time Mutoh counters into a figure 4.
Does he ever?
Just wrenching on that ankle.
You got to crank it. The crowd is hot.
Choshu's writhing in pain, but he won't submit. But the ref calls for the stoppage right as Riki turns the hold over to make the ropes.
Oh my gosh.
Dun,
Hattori!
dun, dun.
Hattori! Give it some time!
Keiji Mutoh wins the matchup.
You know what would have happened if Red Shoes was in here instead of Hattori?
He would have gotten ref bumped and
I mean, maybe before that, but I was going to say it would have gone for 30 minutes and maybe a ref bump, maybe. But this isn't prime ref bump time.
No, it's not.
No,
That's It is a really hot finish.
Yeah.
It is hard to...
That counter into the figure 4 was...
Yeah, this match is
precise.
like, I was writing it down, like, I don't know how to properly explain what exactly is like to give it the levity that it needs of that counter, and then just the timing on the ref stoppage to the grabbing of the ropes.
Yeah,
it was like I'm just gonna say the 2 words. I'm gonna say the 2 words, guys. Short
dry beer.
list.
Short list dry beer. But yeah, it's hard to explain. It's like, oh, he rolled to the ropes after the ref called something. It's like, yeah, that doesn't sound very exciting to say out loud. But crowd is hot. These guys are super hot. It's kind of a like torch pass that also saves the older guy, because like he didn't give up. The ref called it. He did get to the ropes if it could have continued, but like Riki Choshu's 43. It's 1994. Keiji Mutoh, after losing a couple of matches, like they built it up to where he needs this win, and this is a big win for any wrestler. Yeah, so it's just like an intelligent booking decision whenever you step back and look at it from like the tournament perspective. And granted, we don't have video of what happened before and all of what happens afterwards, but just the insight of Mutoh lost 2 matches already.
Yep.
He needs this one to
stay in the fight.
Yeah, exactly. There's only 6-man blocks. This is small.
Yeah, so you only got 5 matches, so you got to win as many of them as you can. So we're headed to our second match. Power Warrior versus Masahiro Chono in the G1 Climax Finals.
Does it feel weird for Power Warrior to be in a singles match?
Yes.
Yeah. That might just be a us thing considering what we've covered, but I just figured he was only Power Warrior because they had another Warrior.
Yeah, I mean,
it was already over.
Doesn't he need Hawk Warrior there to be the Power Warrior?
I'm not sure. It was just like I was just like, oh, okay. Well, how over was Power Warrior?
I mean, pretty over. I mean,
he's in the.
He does go back to Kenzuki Sasaki at some point in the next couple years, but he does keep up this Power Warrior gimmick for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun.
Part of me really wishes that Ultimate Warrior would make a little dip down to Japan so we could have this little feud with Power and
Warrior
Ultimate
versus Ultimate versus Hawk.
Yeah,
Warrior. That's what it was called back in Japan.
And Power Warrior has to shoot on Warrior for being a fucking idiot and an asshole.
I think Warrior and Hawk would shoot on each other.
So to make it to the finals, Chono had gone 4-1 in his block, while Power Warrior had gone 3-1-1 to advance.
It's nice to know he had a
draw,
or
it was a draw.
Double count out, I guess would still be a draw.
So the match gets started with Masahiro firing out with a Yakuza kick to start.
I mean,
as far as the big stuff, right?
Yeah, it's like my favorite wrestling kicks are probably like shotgun drop kicks.
Yeah.
And the Yakuza kick.
I love a good stalling missile drop kick.
Yeah, also nice.
What are your thoughts on yes kicks?
I like a yes kick. Okay. I do like a yes kick, but there's something about the Yakuza kick where it's just the push off is so nice. It just feels
savagery of it all.
Yeah, it feels like an actual street fight whenever he does it.
Warrior comes right back with a clothesline, body slam, more clotheslines.
You mean a lariat? We're in Japan.
My apologies. Before going to a front face lock, but Chono escapes by running Warrior into a turnbuckle. Power Warrior starts yelling about some tape that's on Masahiro's shoulder. So Chono's like, fine, and just starts ripping it off.
Yeah, I imagine he just called him like a pussy, but in Japanese, and he was like, all right, I'm Masahiro Chono. I do the Yakuza kick. My gimmick is that I'm a Yakuza member. I'm going to, I'll meet you there, buddy.
Look at Chono ahead of his time, coming down to the ring. Wrestling with the tape all up on his shoulder, like the whatever the hell that stuff is called now.
Pre-cupping.
I don't know, whatever that little Cesaro tape stuff was he wore.
Yeah.
I know there's a special name to it, but
tape.
I mean, you still see the tape today in Japan whenever it helps when they're putting over
injury.
Yeah.
Warrior with a side headlock, which Masahiro escapes with a back suplex, followed by Chono with a headlock, only to be back suplexed in return. Test of strength time.
Woo, my favorite.
I mean, a test of strength in Japan is a little better than a test of strength in the U.S.
They actually get into it. They test their strength.
Yeah. It's a little they also have that like the like fighting spirit part of it all, where it's like I will look you in the eye and we will both do our best. It's like the trading chops thing, which is overdone now, but it is part of the like connective tissue of Japanese wrestling.
And a test of strength seems like a bad idea with a guy that has power in his name.
Yeah.
And it was, as Warrior takes control, transitioning into a DDT. Lariat from Power Warrior for a 2 count. Snapmare and back to a headlock to wear down Masahiro, who fires up again, only for Warrior to shut it down and go back to that headlock, before a kick to the head gets Chono free.
The kick to the head is like over his head. He like kicks back.
Yeah.
It's really good.
A chop fest breaks out with them both standing tall, and Power Warrior goes for a kick to the gut. But Masahiro catches it, taking Warrior down and applying a sleeper. After the hold is broken, Chono starts laying it in with right hands, but Power Warrior with a takedown to regain control, hitting a back suplex to force Masahiro outside to regroup. Warrior follows out to deliver a clothesline, a face plant, and a DDT, but Chono gets up and rams Power Warrior head first into the ring post.
Posted. But I mean, you know, they went head for head. Power Warrior's head into the post, but he did just DDT Chono's head on the floor, so you know.
Back into the ring, the two get into each other's face, slapping each other, when Masahiro takes Warrior down to start working the leg. But Power Warrior counters into arm work, only for Chono to transition back to leg work when they make the ropes. Masahiro heads up top, only for Power Warrior to meet him there, bringing him down with a superplex.
Woo!
He follows it up with multiple lariats and a power bomb for the pin. And no! Chono kicks out.
I mean, they kind of had me.
Warrior tosses Masahiro to the ropes, but Chono comes back with a Yakuza kick before applying the STF.
Made famous by Eric Watts.
Get out of my brain. You just stole my line.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just had to bring up that they said that.
That was ECW that they said.
ECW.
Sorry. I'm sorry. It's so funny.
Power Warrior slowly crawls his way to the ropes to break the hold. Warrior then hits a running bulldog after a reversed Irish whip. Locks on the power special, which is a step over head hold armbar. It was a weird looking move.
It's weird. He cranks it in though.
But Masahiro is able to make it to the ropes.
It's on his shoulder too, that they set up. So you know, the crowd's hot.
The hurt shoulder that he took the tape off.
Yeah, the crowd is. Of course, the crowd's hot. This is the G1, baby. There's 11,000 people here on a Tuesday or some shit.
Power Warrior lets his guard down momentarily, allowing Chono to take him down and go straight back to the STF. But Warrior finally makes it to the ropes. Power Warrior with a snapmare. He goes back to the power special, and the crowd starts to fire up Chono as he breaks the hold and back to the STF.
Hattori checks on him.
Only for them to again make the ropes. Multiple Yakuza kicks.
There's the camera shows Hase in the corner, like around the ring, and it was nice to see him. And I am not super familiar, but I assume that he is like one of buddy of Chono's at this point in time. Like they probably do like multi tags and whatnot. Because I mean, he didn't have paint on his face.
Yeah.
Also, the way he wrestles makes a lot of sense for him and Chono to be bros.
Multiple Yakuza kicks before Masahiro tells Warrior to just bring it.
Power Warrior won't go down from the Yakuza kick.
So Power Warrior delivers multiple running lariats for the pin, and no! Chono kicks out again! The two trade more clotheslines and Yakuza kicks until Masahiro hits a second rope DDT before locking on the STF in the middle of the ring for the submission and the win.
Hattori calls for the bell. That's like, I mean, the crowd is hot for this because, of course, they're hot for this.
Yes.
This would be Masahiro Chono's third G1 victory.
See, that's what I wasn't for sure if he was going to win this one or not.
Yeah, because I was curious.
Surely they won't give him to him again already, but then again, it's Masahiro Chono. So
going into this, knowing that we only had 2 matches available and not knowing what the 2 matches were, my assumption was that we'll have a Chono and a Hase. Of the 4 guys, Chono, Hase, and like Shinya and Mutoh were like the names floating around in my head.
Yeah.
I also didn't know that one of them was going to be. I thought it was going to be like the last 2 matches, but one of them's day 3 or something like that.
It's a block matchup.
Yeah. So, I didn't expect Power Warrior to be in the final.
No.
And I think that he totally delivered. Absolutely, like he delivered. It would have been weird if he won, but I think that the match was good, and
like Kenzuki Sasaki, I can totally see being in the final at some point, but not Power Warrior.
Yeah, the Power Warrior gimmick. I'm like, oh, well, they're gonna have. It was kind of weird for him to be as Power Warrior in the final.
Mm-hmm.
But by no means was I disappointed by it.
No.
I was just kind of surprised.
So, gentlemen, I ask you, what are your overall thoughts of the G1 Climax 1994?
The Japanese just really know how to wrestle.
Yes, they know how to make me interested in how they wrestle.
The telling of a story.
I just wish there was more because
we always do.
Stupid TV station or whatever. I mean, the great, awesome TV station that needs to free up those videos so the world can see what everything else that happened in 1994
and throughout history.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where we talk about it's like, oh yeah, there's plenty of important wrestling in America pre-cable and TV, like names your Frank Gotchas and stuff like that. It's like, oh, those matches just kind of don't exist.
To the history books.
Yeah, just because of the technology issues and whatnot. But here, there's less of a technology issue, and they just don't have Vince McMahon money to be like, oh, well, we're just going to buy it. And even if we buy it, we might not even give it to you.
I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the first match is a shortlist match for me.
Yep.
Like, I was just over the moon with that match. The second match, it's good.
It's very good.
But I think it takes a little bit too long to kick into that second gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering that, like, nowadays it would probably have been whatever the finish of this match would have been the end of, like, the second act of a G1 match in the last handful of years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, well, like, we got really close, but now they're really about to be being exhausted and really start pulling, like, spamming heavier moves slowly as, who's, like, the better man or whatever. And this one kind of curbs that with...
I mean, I think a lot of the reason why it doesn't kick into that second is probably because of Power Warrior. He's not as advanced in his moveset, so there's not much.
He's a tag team wrestler,
and it's also not a.
I mean, he's starting to establish himself as this. I believe because Hawk is off, doing
Hawk has
whatever,
flown the coop again.
Whatever Hawk's doing, so he has to become a singles wrestler at this point, and so he needs to improve. And I think we will see it because I'm gonna let you guys know this. New Japan puts a lot of their eggs in Kenzuki Sasaki's basket over the next 10 years.
A basket worth the eggs for sure. But yeah, they do. They kind of do trade their mat holds.
Yeah, that segment of the match that's what kind of dragged the match down just a little bit because it was like. We're going to go headlock into... I'm going to escape.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to run back into the headlock.
It does set up the fact where they was like, okay, well, we keep getting out of each other's mat moves, so we're going to go head-to-head and start trading shit and, like, man up. So it does set that up well, but it's still wildly intelligently done considering that is the part that kind of drags.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? There. All right. Fuck you.
I think we're going to smark it up. I mean, I know we only have 2 matches. But was there anything that really stood out and really disappointing?
The thing that stood out to me the most was, I said it already, the counter into the figure four that Mutoh did. That one, it was so fast and quick and perfectly applied and tight, and it was.
You would think that would be like harder to pull off, but like as soon as he had it on, you were like, he's got him in the figure four, and then like they're saying it as soon as you realize it, and you're like, oh, because it's just like it's clean.
Yeah, just like that moment whenever like you see the ref checking on Choshu, and then he walks at a screen, and all of a sudden you hear the bell ring, and right as the bell rings, Riki grabs the ropes. I was just like, that is such a perfect ending.
It's so good. The thing that, like, because they didn't want to pay for the licensed music or whatever, I hate that it cuts out the sound. Like, right before, like, right as the bell rings or whatever, they, like, cut the sound so you don't hear, like, the crowd react to him grabbing the rope, which I totally get, but it does kind of, like that moment that was awesome, it kind of undercuts it slightly because I'm like, I want to hear these people scream.
That reaction would add that much more to the match itself.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because as we've learned in the last year and a half, crowd reactions in professional wrestling are wildly important.
Yeah. Anything that was extremely disappointing on the other end of the...
For the two matches, nothing wildly disappointing. The biggest disappointment being that we didn't have, we did the J Cup 94, and we got to watch a lot of matches. And we crapped our pants over most of them.
Yeah. And
here, we didn't really get to see as much, even, like, so it's like, the two matches, not disappointed that there's only two matches here.
Yeah.
It
Because... That
always seems to be our disappointment when we watch these Japanese shows.
Not enough matches.
We just want more.
It's like we only get the full show whenever it's a like super show, and then we get the full show with a super show, and there's always
the Wrestle Kingdoms. Basically.
Our big standout,
the big Tokyo Dome show.
Yeah, we get the full Tokyo Dome shows, and they're great, and we love them. But it's like these like tournaments, no one's asking for less G1. No. It's just not a thing anybody wants to hear that they can't have.
I know one of these days we're going to be like, there's 30 plus matches on this G1.
Yeah.
Now we just have to pick the best ones.
For sure.
Because we're going to have ability to watch them all, and we're just going to be like, no, we're not watching them all.
Yeah, and here it's like a lot less, but it would have been nice to have at least like 6 matches, at least like half.
Luckily for me and Michael, we don't have to make that decision. We'll just wait for Matt to tell us what to watch.
We trust him. We definitely trust him.
I trust our fans.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
So there's definitely something out there that we should watch. Let us know.
For sure.
Making their way to the ring.
It's trivia time.
What do we got this week?
This week, the category is What's in a Name?
It's just a name, what's in a name?
I will give you the real name of a wrestler. You give me that wrestler.
Riki Steamboat.
Incorrect.
Still.
So at least you got one. You got one answer that you don't have to think about.
Yeah, still wildly disappointed in basically both of us in that one.
Yeah.
So 5 points for a correct answer, 3 points if we go to multiple choice. The name this week is Roy Wayne Ferris.
Roy Wayne Ferris.
I want to guess, but it's probably not in my best interest. And there's 2 in my mind that I've made jokes about before.
What? One Bad News Brown?
No, it's not Bad News. Bad News Brown is not the guess, but it'd be funny if that ended up being the answer. I'm going to gamble.
Michael's taking a gamble.
And I'm going to say the Honky Tonk Man.
That is correct.
Yes! Because my other guess was Beefcake. I was like, no, it's not
that's
Beefcake.
Ed Leslie.
Yeah. I didn't know. Now I know his name's Ed Leslie. Beefcake.
See, they're not the same person.
Sure aren't. They have different names.
Totally different names.
In the ring and outside of the ring.
Ed Leslie,
Matt's
Roy
look
Ferris.
on his face where it was like, he's really good.
Yeah, once you said it, it was like, yep, that's it. Because I remember hearing it before.
He's going to totally... I was like, you have to get this. You have to get this.
Oh, man.
I wasn't going to say anything because you got 40 points you needed to make, man. So
Shane, if you knew the answer and
Shane's
held
making it
back for me to get some points, I would be kind of disappointed in myself. Did you know the answer?
It's kayfabe,
no,
man.
once you said it, then
Yeah.
I remembered that. Yep, I've heard his name before.
It's kayfabe. He's writing storylines right here.
Yeah.
Getting the big lead, and then he's gonna let you.
I'd trust you more
Let me fight
with a
from
pen,
underneath. You're the baby
with
face.
a pen or iPad in your hand, working for WWE than whoever the hell is back there. So, this is my endorsement for Shane to be a what do they call him? Agent. Yeah. Never been in the ring, but I trust your psychology more than.
Well, it's been a while since I've given a shout out to my friend Paul up in Connecticut, but make it happen.
Which one?
Wait, what? There's more than one.
Paulie.
There's Paulie.
No, it's true. I was talking
Paul
about
Vasquez or whatever his last name is.
You're talking
my
about
friend
Trips.
HHH.
I think Trips flows in Orlando. I don't think he flies back and forth.
Well, he's a
he can Skype in. He's too busy getting
He
the company.
didn't have anything to do with the main roster, so he probably just lives in Orlando.
Yeah, he's just.
We're not close enough yet for me to call him Daddy Hunter, so.
Yeah, he's keeping his guys happy.
Well, most people call him Hunter in the back, not Paul.
Before the sale.
Well, I'm not most people. I'm a podcaster doing a professional shout out to.
Oh, okay.
Paul Vasquez.
From one Daddy Hunter to another.
Can you say his last name?
Huh?
Can you say his last name?
Levick?
I don't know. I've never.
I mean, I don't know if the pronunciation is right. I assume it is, but
So I've heard Dusty Rhodes say it at one point.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought it was
Dusty Rhodes is the best person to ask for pronunciation.
baby. For some reason I said Vasquez. I don't know why I got that, but
Kane?
this is I guess the
Kane Vasquez or whatever his name was.
Velasquez.
That's what it was.
Yeah. But it is Levesque. I think they both have some weird cues in them.
Yeah.
Next week, Hardcore Heaven 1994.
Motown Philly back again. That's our new home base.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Philadelphia, the ECW arena,
I just like torturing Shane.
The East Coast family.
Yeah, the concrete soaked in Budweiser and blood.
Oh, Eastern Championship Wrestling. Come on already.
It's only going to be Eastern for a little bit longer. We've been saying it
Just
for
a little bit longer.
a little while.
Music from this week's show is The Score by Emerson, Lake and Powell.
Score.
And Masahiro Chono won the main event, so we play his music, Black Rain by Kinya Hurumoto.
I haven't seen one of his matches in a long time.
If you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out there and rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts at. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, recipes.
Yeah, a Vimeo link to
Something.
all of the G1, or at least half of the G1.
Yeah, if you have
Some secrets.
you have suggestions for matches or shows that we should watch. If you have ability to get more of the G1 or any Japanese wrestling
That's not on World.
that I don't know how to get, email us at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com.
We will gladly.
If you've got a favorite restaurant in Philly that's not one of the main Philly places as far as cheesesteaks go, let us know, because I'd like to try something from Philly that's
Not a cheesesteak.
more than a cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Also, find us on Twitter, Wrestling HistoX. That's Wrestling HISTOX.
X.
Slide into those DMs, guys.
Do it.
We'll talk to you next week.
Later.